It's taken a minute. Hey, everybody. Welcome. We tonight, Tuesday. I'm paid every other Tuesday or so. I'm going to do episodes called The Big Picture. And that's why we're here today. And I'm here with my good friend, Linda. She's agreed to join us here today to talk about a very, very important subject. So I've known Linda how long? 30
I
plus
think
years?
we figured it was like 35 years.
30, yeah.
And just so everybody knows, I am not used to being on camera. So this is
and that's okay, because what I try to tell, we are just ordinary citizens having a conversation about what's happening. We the people. And so I think that's what makes our live broadcasts, now we're doing 3 days a week, so important, because we're not journalists. We're not professional commentators. We're not politicians. Thank goodness. But we are concerned citizens, and that's why we're here.
Well,
so if you are in the chat, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. And so today, the theme is they warned us. What did they warn us about? So let's talk about that. So from Hungary, right, to Venezuela, from Orwell to Star Wars, there's been a very strong message in all those things. And it's democracies don't collapse, they erode. So when people, I think, imagine dictatorship, they probably picture something obvious, like tanks in the streets, a single dramatic event when democracy ends. But historians, political scientists, and even filmmakers tell us something very, very different, that democracies rarely collapse all at once. They erode quietly, legally, gradually. In fact, in the book, How Democracies Die, scholars explain that elections can actually continue long after democracy itself has hollowed out. And we see this in Hungary with Orbán.
Russia too.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And Venezuela, which we're going to talk about. So in Timothy Snyder's book on tyranny, he warns us that the most dangerous moment is the early one, when people still believe it can't happen here. I mean, how many times have you and I said that? How many times, I think, when Trump ran the first time, I said it, he can't possibly win. No one would possibly vote for that man. But we'll talk about that in a minute too. So tonight, we're not asking whether the United States is officially in a dictatorship, although we have our opinions. We're asking something, I think, more uncomfortable. Do the patterns that precede authoritarian rule now surround us? That's the question. We've seen the strong arming of foreign governments like Venezuela. We've seen pressure on independent institutions and money withdrawn from those institutions. And then we'll also talk about the money being pulled from blue states, right? All that garbage that's going on. We've seen enforcement power expand with ICE, while oversight accountability is weak. So we have this, I don't know, rules for thee, but not for me kind of thing happening. We've seen culture, history, and narrative become political battlegrounds. And none of these on their own prove anything. I could probably argue with that a little bit.
But what's it is normal about this, Kim? What's nothing. Normal? Has anybody, I'm old. Okay, I admit I'm old. And in my 65 years, I have never seen anything like that here. This is not normal. This is not normal.
I know. But don't you agree that history history warned us.
Oh, yeah,
History
absolutely.
shows us something very unsettling, that authoritarianism doesn't arrive as a villain, right?
Nope.
It doesn't. It arrives as a series of exceptions, justifications, and temporary measures
Well, and villainization of the other.
of the other.
The other.
Absolutely. And so let me see, who do we have? Jazzy. Hey, Jazzy. Hey, Mo. Thanks, guys. Welcome. Who else do we have? Golden Fisherman. Oh, great. Well, maybe you'll learn something here. Hang tight. The other thing, it's not just our history that has warned us, but as a media and film scholar, studied film over this as my second career, right? Our stories have warned us. So from 1984, the book, and then the movie, in that story, truth collapses before freedom does. In Star Wars, democracy ends not with violence, but with applause. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So tonight, this is the big picture that I want to focus on. Not panic, not predictions, but patterns. We're seeing a pattern. And so the question that we'll keep coming back to is really simple. Do we still recognize the warning signs, or have we been trained already to accept them as normal? Have we been desensitized?
I think so.
That's the question that we want to keep coming back to. So, gosh, where do we start? Where do we start? I tell you what, let's start. I mentioned 2 books. And I'm going to bring those up right now because these are books that actually people need to read, need to check. And one is called How Democracies Die. This one, I actually did an audiobook of this a few years ago. Or no, wait. Yeah, a couple of years ago. I think when Trump took over the first time, because they warned us in this book about the process and how democracies, they don't, like we said, they don't die overnight. They erode over time. And this, if you read this, this is exactly what's happening to our country right now. And this has happened to numerous countries around the globe. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend reading this. So just a little bit of a history. What is authoritarianism anyway? What is dictatorship? Because there are a lot of fascism. You know, we hear all the different words that are thrown around. So just a little lesson, a little history lesson here. Here's some things to ask. Are laws applied equally? Are enforcement agencies politicized? Are critics framed as enemies? Are institutions pressured rather than abolished? Are norms replaced with loyalty? So these are all, I don't know. What do you think? Linda, is that what's happening?
Well, I have my answers to all of those. I think, and I see and I can't respond to the chat because I didn't sign into YouTube, but I see a lot of Trump is the Messiah, and thank you, President Trump. What about this is normal? What about this? I actually would someday like to have a conversation, a civil conversation with a Trump supporter to really try to understand. You tell me what he has done. Has he lowered food prices? Has he solved the war in Ukraine? All the things that he promised. Did he release the Epstein files? Where are the Epstein files? Even after there's a law saying they have to release them, they haven't released them. What are you following? What has he done for you that has improved your life? Has your healthcare costs gone down? Ours hasn't. Ours has gone up exponentially. What is he doing for you? And I guess when I look at this, it's what I think this administration's doing is they're gaining control and power. They're putting the military in our streets. When in your life have you seen military in your streets? There was a woman shot. Did she get a fair trial? If they thought she had broken the law and she was everything they're saying they are, shouldn't she have gotten a fair trial? Just like you're supposed to get in a democracy? No, she got shot in the face 3 times. I just don't understand.
Well, plus ICE is not the police.
Nope.
I should never have approached her car in the first place.
You're absolutely right.
That's the problem. We have thugs in fatigues with military weapons on our streets, breaking the law every single day. They had no right to approach her car. I don't care what she was doing. They had no right to approach her car. If she's impeding what you're doing, call the police.
Right.
Let them handle it. It was not ICE's. It was not ICE's responsibility to do that. And, you know, we can go on. Well, we're going to get to that part in a minute. We're going to talk more about that. But I just want to acknowledge a few people here in the chat. So Jazzy, absolutely, he's a cult leader. And those in the cult don't recognize they're in one until something shifts till it affects them.
Until it
right?
affects them, exactly.
Until it affects them.
Or someone they love, all of a sudden it's going to be, wait, that's not supposed to happen. Not supposed to affect us. It's only supposed to affect those others, the others.
Oh, this is interesting. So you can have a conversation with a Trump supporter anytime you want to, but you don't actually want to. That's not actually true. If it was a civilized intellectual conversation based in facts, sure. The problem is it's rarely based in facts. That's the problem.
Lies. Everything is lies. The number of lies that have become the norm. You know, lying's become normal. Everything's become normal.
Yeah. Hey, Andrea, thanks for joining us. And say hi to Linda. Everybody say hi to Linda. It's my friend Linda. So the other book that I would suggest people read is called On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. And actually, Timothy Snyder and some other experts, typically professors who teach this subject, have actually left the country because they knew what was happening. He's still very much involved. But one of the things, or two of the things in this book that are really important, because he kind of lays out kind of the 20 lessons, he'll say, from the 20th century on how to kind of defy dictatorship and what not to do. And one of the things is do not obey in advance, which we have the media doing. We had, CBS, NBC. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, and it's all about money. We can talk about that in a minute. Do not obey in advance, defend our institutions, and beware the one-party state. And that's a thing that I think makes me as angry as anything else, that there's over half the country, because I think his, the polls for people who support him now, or think he's doing a good job, is down to like 33%. So you have the bulk of the country who do not like what he's doing, do not approve of what he's doing, but we have no representation in our government at this point. That's what's frustrating, because Republicans will not work with Democrats until recently, and we're going to talk about that towards the end. Right? We have some hope, thank goodness. But in the book, one of the things that he does say is authoritarianism succeeds when each step feels justifiable on its own. So when you look at each singular thing that the administration does, people seem to justify it away as this or this or this, or but when you start to put it all together and look at the patterns, look at the big picture, this is where we are. This is a problem. So go ahead.
And I don't know, it's Sauce Q2W7B wrote, what about the younger generation? Are we in a bad spot? I'll tell you right now, I have never, ever been this involved in I was just a normal person working, taking care of my family, coming home tired at night. I wasn't this involved in watching what was going on in our country. I'm doing this for the younger generation. I'm a woman that has its own issues, but I'm a white woman that's an American. I'm not being affected, other than the higher prices of everything. I'm not being affected like a lot of people are being affected. I'm doing this for the younger generation. I'm doing this for my kids and their kids. And yeah, we've got problems as a country, but let's fix them in an honest way. Let's address the real problems. Let's not just blow everything up and have a dictator take over everything. And I'm sorry, I'm getting on a tantrum. Go ahead, Kim.
That's okay. That's okay. Yes, doing it for my grandchildren. Yes. I have a new baby granddaughter. I'm doing it for my sons and their children. And actually, yeah, like you said, Linda, for that entire generation of people who have struggled in this country, right? It was very different when we were growing up, and we had a lot more opportunity. We could work a job and own a home and, live a decent, comfortable life in the middle class. The middle class has eroded. I don't want to get off on this big old tangent, but I feel bad for my sons. It's very difficult to work a job, especially in California, So yes, thank you, Mo. So let's switch gears a little bit, because when we talk about where our country is going, we have to bring in what's happening in Venezuela. And I don't understand how people think that what this administration, and yes, I do call it administration because I refuse to call it a regime, because I refuse to normalize it. What they have done and what they continue to do, not just with Venezuela, but the threats to Greenland, the threats to now Colombia, the threats to Mexico, the threats to our whole hemisphere here, because there's that whole ideology about having 3 major hemispheres in the world and 3 major leaders in all those. Again, that's another conversation, but let's talk a little bit about Venezuela. So people say, well, the US is not formally running Venezuela, but we're clearly strong-arming them, right? We removed Maduro, which, granted, the man was a horrible person. That's not the issue here. The issue is that we had no business going in there and removing him. We had no business seizing oil tankers, and we have no business in there controlling their oil. And what is that I heard, that we're taking the proceeds from this oil and putting it in offshore accounts somewhere? I mean, what the hell is that? So I don't know, Linda, what do you?
Let's talk about what was leading up to this. There were military strikes on drug smugglers bringing in fentanyl, which Venezuela doesn't work in. They don't smuggle fentanyl.
They don't cook fentanyl. If you watched, what was that, Breaking Bad? Yeah, they don't cook fentanyl.
And there's been 123 deaths. And just recently, I saw something. Not only was there that one strike, I think it was in September, where they hit the boat and then they went back, hit it again. killing the people that had survived, but that it was done under the premise of a regular plane, not as a military plane.
Correct.
Illegal. That's illegal to do. But everything leading up to this was all about drugs. Now, in December, he pardons the former Honduran president, who was convicted of drug smuggling, pardoned him. So I don't think it was about drugs. And now you never hear a word about democracy. You never hear a word about drugs. It's all about the oil. It's all about the oil. Yeah. Seriously, think. I mean, are you serious? Why are we going into another country, a sovereign nation? I agree. I absolutely agree. You know, Maduro's a terrible, terrible man, terrible person. But was it our place to go into a country that supposedly had fair elections, that didn't have fair elections? But was it our place to go in and do this because we wanted their oil?
Yeah. So I'm almost speechless at what's happening here, because you know, you asked the question, and I'm going to ask this question at the end. If we were to look back 10 years and see what's happening today, you know, would we have predicted this at all? I just, you know, especially at our age, it's like, would we have ever thought that this could happen in our generation? I'm just,
well, and let's be fair, Kim. We have invaded other countries previously.
Yeah, we're not saying
it's done with congressional approval.
Correct.
This administration, they're bypassing anything that our government, our Constitution set up for checks and balances, and they're making independent, you know, Trump says, I know everything, I'm the only one that can fix it. That is authoritarian talking
mindset. Absolutely.
Mindsets.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, it's a blatant attack on the rules-based international order. He's violating international law. And Congress has abdicated their involvement in anything. Just now, they are starting to pull back and hopefully rein some control in. But he's been off doing this. So yes, have we been perfect? No. But at least they went through the proper channels.
And do people realize, do some of the you MAGA out there, you Trump supporters, do you realize that the rules-based order, the international laws, NATO, all that was put in place after World War II, do you know that all that has prevented us from entering World War III? And I don't think people, but I don't think people realize the gravity of that, right?
Well, with Greenland being a NATO country, we will have, and Europe's doing what they have to do. All you Trump supporters, do you ever in your life remember when we've alienated all our friends, all of the people that we have, you know, that were part of NATO, the people that really were trying to keep world peace, we're alienating all of them.
We're going down a very dangerous path. And we're going to talk about that, but absolutely, Kamala tried to warn us. Hillary tried to warn us, right? History tried to warn us.
Isn't it funny though that Trump was the one that said, "Oh, if Harris wins, we're gonna have all the things that's happening now. It's gonna happen under her watch."
Well, projection. The man projects constantly. All of his accusations are actually projections and admissions of guilt. So I don't know if you have any insight into psychology at all, or any self-awareness of your own and and awareness of other people and behavior. Maybe that comes more with age. I don't know, but you can see right through it. It's mind-boggling to me. Andrea, you're right. Filed bankruptcy 5 or 6 times and is going through our money like water.
It's all about
literally like
himself
water.
and his friends rich.
Okay, this is interesting. What a low IQ statement. You sound just like Trump. Interesting.
Yes, and sure, you know, am I you know, be quiet, piggy. Sorry.
All right. So here's some updates on Venezuela. The White House says that Venezuelan decisions will be dictated by the US. So since when do we do this? Since when do we take over another country and dictate what they do? This is all part of an authoritarian playbook. This is all part of dictatorship playbook. I mean, whatever you want to call it. This is just look at history. This is a Putin playbook, actually. So the White House said Venezuela interim government must take orders from the U.S. Despite their interim leadership. U.S. officials detailed plans to control the proceeds of their oil, saying proceeds will benefit the Venezuelan and American people, as determined by the U.S. government. Venezuela's state-run oil company said it is in talks with the U.S. to arrange international petroleum sales. China slammed U.S. demand for exclusive partnership. The U.S. military says it seized a Russian-flagged Venezuela-linked oil tanker, oil that Russia had paid for. And so we just decided to seize. Russia accused the U.S. of violating international maritime law and urged to return all Russian nationals aboard and treat them humanely. The White House said it's too early to discuss a timetable for their elections. This is all, again, out of an authoritarian playbook. And I have a question for all of you out there who are strong Trump supporters. Why do you want to live in a dictatorship? I think it's a valid question. Tell us. We'd be interested to know. But it's not just Venezuela, right, Linda? We talked earlier about this. Greenland is being threatened as we speak. As you said, Greenland is a NATO country. We were the biggest player and the leader in the NATO alliance. What happens when we try to take a NATO country by force?
All the other NATO countries would then support Greenland, and we're the enemy.
Some say it would dissolve NATO.
Could dissolve, or we could end up in World War III.
We will end up in World War III. That is and that's my other question. Why do you want to live in dictatorship, and why are you so eager to get to World War III? And the only, I think, answer that I've read that comes from the Christian fundamentalists and the Christian fanatics is they think somehow this brings the end of the world and Jesus coming back or something. Is that some of that mentality? This brings Armageddon? Is that what we're looking at? Yeah, the Antichrist, Jazzy? I don't know. So
don't get me started on the Christian side of this.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that today, but that's, I think, another valid question we have. Why? Why would you want that? I don't understand. Do you not understand what it means? So Greenland Prime Minister has a blunt message for Trump. We choose Denmark over the US. full nonstop. So the Greenland Prime Minister said Tuesday that the Arctic island chooses Denmark over the US, pushing back against Donald Trump's repeated takeover threats. And I was reading that he was wanting to offer Greenland citizens money. I'm sorry. What happened to America first? So they're going to take money from our institutions. They're going to take money away from us and our healthcare. They're going to take money away from our education. They're going to take our taxes, and pay Greenland citizens. I mean, what the fuck? That's all I'm going to say.
Trump supporters, why should we take over Greenland? I want an honest answer. We have a military base there. We have access to minerals there. What is it that you think he's justified in, whether it's peacefully or militarily, taking over Greenland?
It's what the experts call expansionism.
Oh.
Right? So it's another authoritarian signal.
Power and control.
Huge authoritarian signal, guys. So even if it's just rhetoric, it's dangerous rhetoric. Even if he has no plans to do it, that he's just trolling, people say. It's basically saying that other countries, it's negotiable. You know, we may buy you, we may take you over. It's another authoritarian playbook tactic. Just look at Russia. Just look at Putin. This is scary. This is not how liberal democracies speak. This is not how leaders of democracies talk. This is how illiberal democracy leaders talk. They use nationalism, they use external threats to consolidate power while claiming democratic legitimacy, which is bullshit. There's nothing democratic about it. Nothing. So, all right, so we talked about Venezuela, we talked about Greenland. We explained why that's bad. Let's hear from our people in the chat. So Mo, tell Venezuela is just rhetoric. We must never have a lack of imagination with these people. Yeah. 100%. 100%. The ruling class owns everything. The government, politicians, all the buildings. Yeah.
Somebody said something about Venezuela. I'd have to go back, about bringing back the king. Where did I miss that? I can't find it now. You know what? They had elections and Gonzalez won with Machado's backing. And yet, why aren't we honoring that election?
Because it's not about democracy.
It's not about democracy. Never been about democracy. He wants somebody in there that's going to give him what he wants.
I wish there's one thing that people who support him would understand. Just one thing. He has always been a con man. He has always cheated. He never paid his people, or the people that did work for him. And I'm going to say never. There are a lot of people he didn't pay. He is all about himself and making money. That's it.
Well, he does want to be a king. He wants control. And I like what Stephen said. It's about fear and power. It is about control. I'm sorry, in control. It is about control and power.
Absolutely. I mean, we are in some scary times, people. That's all I can say. Let me bring this other thing up about NATO. NATO is so, people, again, please do your homework. Please do some research on NATO and understand how important NATO is. So how NATO works at a time when Trump is threatening to seize Greenland. So his repeated threats to seize control are straining relations, not just with all of our allies, obviously, in NATO, sparked a warning that doing so by force could spell the end of the world's biggest security alliance. This is scary as hell, you guys. And like Linda said in the beginning, we're both, I'm approaching 65. Linda's much older than me.
Oh, come on. What day is it today?
I know. Linda's 2 months older than me. But you know what? We don't have, maybe 20 years on the planet. We're in our third act. We're in our third act. We're out here fighting because we believe in this country that we grew up in, we lived in, and we had the opportunity to be in a democracy, to live in a democracy, to have it. It was never completely free. I mean, we're not going to delude ourselves. We live in a system that has been rigged, economically. So we won't talk about that, but we're not delusional in that. It has not worked for everybody.
And I'm really hoping, I'm hoping after all this mess, if we crawl ourselves out of it, we can build something more positive.
Absolutely.
And work for everybody.
Yeah. It has not worked for our minority friends and neighbors. And we've always fought for that. We've always fought for equal rights for everybody. We believe in that. And we will continue to do that. And yes, when we get out of this, not if, when we get out of this, we will continue and do what we can to fight for something better. Better. That's a whole nother topic. So tensions are high, right? Highest we've ever seen it, and it is dangerous. It was set a dangerous precedent. The most powerful country, United States, would annex a territory of another ally. That is just absurd. That's one thing 10 years ago I would never have ever said that would happen. Never let that happen. Greenland is a semi-autonomous island that is part of the Danish realm. Danish Prime Minister has warned that if the United States chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops, including NATO. Including NATO. We have 12 nations since 1949 to counter the security threat from the Soviet Union in the Cold War, during the Cold War. And this is what Putin has been fighting to get rid of since that happened. This is his retribution for dissolving the Soviet Union.
Yep.
This is why he's so angry. And I'm not going to read this whole thing. But dissolving NATO, bad. Really bad. Let's go to our world's biggest security alliance. Really interesting comments, you guys.
Yeah.
I just please do some homework. Order out of chaos. Ever heard of the saying before? I repeat this a lot. Transformation always precedes, chaos always precedes transformation. So yes, absolutely. So we are probably going to have to go through some really, really tough times to come out with some transformative version of our democracy that'll be a lot better. Chaos always precedes transformation. There's that saying goes around in a lot of different philosophies, but that's a quote that I use a lot, actually. Who else do we have here? Trump is a puppet, and he's also a bit mentally unstable right now, don't you think? Yeah, Jazzy, absolutely. That's why so much art's produced during chaotic time. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, and I've said too, Linda, I don't know if you agree, but I feel like our generation has been, I don't know, shielded from a lot of really bad things. We haven't gone through a World War I or a World War II, or we
No,
had Vietnam
my dad went
and
through World War II.
yeah, and COVID. Yeah, but our generation. So this is I guess our time to go through something really, really hard.
I really didn't want to. Kim,
I didn't either. I
just retired. I was looking to enjoying life, and this is not what I really wanted to be focused on. And I'm well, let's just move on.
This is not how I wanted to spend my third act either.
No.
I'd rather come on here and talk about film and, talk about, I was going to spend my technology was my first career. Film and media is my second career. I got a master's and pursuing my PhD, but I wanted to make film. I wanted to write scripts. I wanted to do fun things. I didn't want to be doing this in my third act, but here we are because it's too important.
Hey, Meg, I can't focus on anything else because I'm not going to allow this to happen in our country. I'm not.
No.
So
that's interesting. Yeah. I don't want my granddaughter growing up in a dictatorship. No. Sorry. Yeah.
We fought hard. We fought really hard. We did fight a lot, Kim. We were one of the first generations that, really went to work as we did it all. We worked in the house, or we worked out of the house. We took care of the family. We as women fought hard. Yeah. I'm not going to watch that get destroyed. Anyway.
Let's watch a clip now. Jim Acosta, such a calm, intelligent commentator, journalist, excellent journalist. I just want to hear what he has to say.
On places like the Department of Homeland Security, look at this tweet right here. We'll have our home again. And it shows a cowboy riding a horse across the frozen tundra of I don't know where, with a stealth bomber over his head. I don't know what DHS has to do with stealth bombers. Let's not get over our skis here, guys. But if you look at what it says there, it says, we'll have our home again. That is a neo-Nazi, those are neo-Nazi lyrics to a neo-Nazi song. Here's another video from the Department of Labor. And look at this video right here. Remember who we are. And these are social media posts by the federal government, by these federal departments, Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Labor one that you're looking at right now, I mean, where you were just looking at a few moments ago, they post that stuff all the time, has nothing to do with labor. But going back to this one, this DHS one, we're not really in unison, where it says we'll have our home again. Just to be clear, those are the lyrics to a neo-Nazi song. People need to understand that. And you guys have heard me rail on this time and again. The Department of Homeland Security and its policy with the Coast Guard, downgrading the significance of swastikas and nooses and so on. And maybe the idiots, the asswipes who run these social media accounts have no idea what they're doing. But it's been made aware to them if they look at social media, and they do. These are very online people who run these accounts. When they post things like "we have our home again," folks, you need to understand what we're looking at here. When you look at the Department of Homeland Security posting, "we'll have our home again," they are basically, it's a dog whistle, I suppose you could say, to the MAGA base, to the ultra right-wing white nationalists in this country, that what the Department of Homeland Security is doing is carrying out the mission of white nationalists, of white supremacists. And what are we seeing on the streets of Minneapolis over the last couple of days? That video that our friend Nick Valencia sent over. This is what we were talking about last week, folks. And I want to mention this again. This is not America. I repeat, this is not America. This is the federal government going door to door in some of these communities. It sounds as though when we When I looked at the video, that they did not have a proper warrant. They're heavily armed. They're masked. They're in military style attire, and they're storming into people's homes. And to be clear, that is not America. That is not who we are. But we are now in a place where the federal government can do this to the American people whenever they want, however they want, with as much weaponry as they can possibly bring to the front door. And I'm old enough to remember, folks, when there was a time when conservatives and Republicans in this country used to accuse Barack Obama of this exact thing. They would say he's going to start going to people's homes to take their guns.
Yeah.
He's going to start going to people's homes to take their rights away. This is what the Republicans, this is what the Tea Party people, this is what conservatives used to accuse Barack Obama of all the time, of Democrats all the time. And here we are at the beginning of 2026, ICE officers going to people's homes, heavily armed, entering people's homes, heavily armed, terrorizing the American people. I repeat, terrorizing the American people. And, you know, when you have the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, the puppy killer, Ice Barbie, the rhinestone cowgirl, when she's out there accusing people like Renee Good of being domestic terrorists, remember one of the old rules of thumb with Donald Trump. An accusation is almost always projection.
Mm-hmm.
An accusation is almost always confession. Who's acting like the terrorist now?
Mm-hmm.
Who's behaving like the terrorist now?
Mm-hmm.
Going door to door in an American city, a great American city like Minneapolis, heavily armed, with guns, with children present, and searching homes door to door in America. It is not who we are. It is not the United States of America. And it makes sense to me that the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, is taking the Department of Homeland Security to court because, ladies and gentlemen, as I've said many times, this administration is out of control. This administration is out of control. Donald Trump is out of control. Stephen Miller is out of control. J.D. Vance is out of control. Kristi Noem is out of control. And look at the stupid shit that they put online.
Yeah, so stop there. I mean, he's so on point, and people who are clear-eyed see it.
Well, the funny thing, Kim, is it's gotten to be, don't believe your own eyes and ears. And they just keep repeating the same thing, even though you see something different, you hear something different. Don't believe. You believe what I say. Don't believe your own eyes and ears.
Yeah, 1984.
Yep.
The book, Orwellian. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to go to some of the comments here. So, Andrea, yes, they have sent more ICE into Minneapolis. I feel so terrible for what's going on there.
Did you see the, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. But someone was bringing, I mean, we all know why they're there, right? It's a blue state. Why are they not in Florida? Why are they not in Texas? That's where more immigrants are. I forget what percentage they said in Minnesota, but it's extremely small in comparison.
And the crime
but they're not going to red states.
They're not arresting or taking people that are criminals. They're not taking American citizens.
And you know why, right? I mean, we've talked about this. What was the narrative that people that are close to me have repeated? Biden let millions and millions of immigrants into the country. We had an open border. We had, okay, then where are those people and why are we arresting DACA? Why are we arresting hardworking immigrants who have come here, who are in the process of getting their citizenship, who have gone through the system?
Oh, that's what they say. You know, if they would do it the right way. These are people trying to do it the right way.
Right way. Yeah.
and getting arrested when they're going into court. Or not arrested, taken,
yeah,
abducted. Let's not.
they're being abducted.
Being abducted.
See, one side brings in immigrants, the other side fixes it while taking more power, expanding their national police force, order out of chaos. I get your point there. The thing is, it's all been lies. So if you look at the data, as far as we did have a lot more asylum seekers come in probably the last decade. We still do have a broken immigration system. There's no question about that. We're not denying that. That needs to be fixed. And finally, there was a bipartisan solution, or they felt at least a beginning of a solution that was blocked by Trump because he wanted to run on it. But it's not the lies and the exaggerations that they've claimed.
Well, and
right?
they double down on the lies. They just keep double downing on the lie.
Yeah, I know. So you're right. Florida, Texas. Andrea actually lives in Texas. Abbott is in on this. Yeah. 10K have been arrested. Are we talking about immigrants detained? I'm curious about what your comment is there. Jazzy, why are they arresting citizens? Actually, yeah.
Well, and what happened to due process?
Yeah, they
it
never.
Isn't just citizens that are allowed due process.
Well, the thing is, people are trying to give them their ID and they're refusing it. That's the problem. This is not a legitimate law enforcement.
What remember back in Germany when you had to carry when they had to carry their papers around? Is that what we're going to have to do here now? Is everybody's going to have to carry their papers on them as they just live their lives?
Both sides are playing us. They are working for the ruling class. So there's some, I understand what you're saying. We have a huge issue in this country, and that's what we talked about earlier, that economically the system has been rigged. We know that. We live in it. We know it. We need to get money out of politics.
Yes.
Because all of our politicians are guilty of that on both sides. We're not naive to that. We know that. This is not the
United.
But it's interesting. We're going to talk. Well, let me hold my thought until we get to that point, because there are movies who've been trying to warn us about these things. They want digital ID. Yeah. Christians would call that 666, right? The mark, the barcode. I read a lot. I've studied all religions, so I read a lot. We needed more work bees. That's why they banned abortions, the pandemic. Explain more on that, Andrea. I'd like to hear more detail of what you mean by that. Let's move on. So we have, you mentioned ICE. We mentioned ICE. This is part of the authoritarian playbook. This is domestic power consolidation, expanded authority, reduced oversight, fear as compliance.
Should we just touch on, though, ICE was an organization, and it's not been around a long time in terms of our history, but it was put in place, and it did its job. What they're doing now is you've got people that are not being trained properly, and I question who these people really are. Are they insurrectionists? Are they Proud Boys? They're going out. I'm sorry. Why did I'm not going to say his name. Why did he pull a gun for a woman that was like, hey, dude, not mad at you? I mean, everything you see, he acted in anger.
Yes.
And his whole comment after he shot her was anger. These are not people that are normal ICE agents. They're not being trained properly. They shouldn't have weapons. Why did you give them guns?
We know why, right? If they support Trump, there's no rules for them, period. I've said too much already. Love you guys. Love you too. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Hang tight. We have more to go here. Just want to do some of the latest here on Minnesota.
Go that way. Hey, back the fuck up. Sidewalk. Force is not law. Force is not law. You are not following the law.
Oh my God.
My police before I'm disabled, so I can go to the doctor up there. That's why I didn't Just make you feel strong. Yeah, man. This is your duty. Why don't you help that woman? Help that woman. Why don't you help someone? All you do is hurt. All you do is hurt. She's trying to drive down the fucking. Where is the law? Where is it? Bro, pull up the way. Let her go!
Oh my God. They had no right to do that. None.
I
None.
believe he was a disabled person trying to get to a doctor's appointment and got
Oh
stopped.
my God.
I saw that one earlier today. That it's like they're out of control. They're out of control. And I'd ask, why do we have so many people in the streets fighting this if it's normal and it should be happening? And this is what Americans want. This is what we voted for. Got an awful lot of people out there protesting against it. This is not what we voted for.
Again, the reason this is domestic power consolidation, right? This is a private army by this administration.
Yep.
They
Another
are not
authoritarian
enforcing immigration. No,
That's
they're
another
the domestic
authoritarian,
terrorists, right? So
mechanism.
expanding authority, reduced oversight. There is no accountability for them. And they are emboldened more than ever based on what happened earlier this week. Fear or when, gosh, where am I now? This is Tuesday. What day did that happen with Renee Good?
Saturday.
So selective enforcement is how fear becomes policy, right? So they're trying to take control of the streets in that way. They're trying to instill fear. But people in Minnesota aren't having it. Let's go to our comments.
Oh, also, Kim.
August, thank you. Welcome. Wants to wipe out folks that doesn't support this BS. Absolutely.
Why aren't they allowing the state to be able to, the state police or Minnesota to get to the evidence when it came to Good? they're all corrupt. Have you ever noticed it's always everybody else is corrupt and they're the only ones that can do it?
Like we said, projection. They're always projecting. Who's next? Congress, you have the power to stop this. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have the power. Minnesota is not backing down, and I love seeing that. And it's got to be scary based on what happened. It has to be scary. More power to them.
Let's be honest, Kim. It could happen to us.
It could. It could. They could show up at our door anytime.
And it can happen to you.
They're putting pressure on us. Again, this is the authoritarian playbook. They're putting pressure on us in the streets. This is domestic power, but they're also continuing to put pressure on the financial system. And I'm going to show you this. We may go over a little bit, guys, but this is important information we want everybody to get. So we knew he had his eye on the Fed, right? We knew he wasn't going to let up. And this is what's happened.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the Trump administration has threatened to indict him over a congressional testimony he gave last summer about a Fed building project. Powell revealed this in a Sunday night statement.
On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June.
The White House has criticized the Fed's building project in question, the $2.5 billion renovation of two of its buildings, but Powell called it a, quote, pretext to gain more influence over the central bank and monetary policy.
This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
Trump has demanded the Fed to cut rates sharply since resuming office in January, blaming its policy for holding back the economy, and has mused about firing Powell. That is, despite the legal protections ostensibly covering the Fed chair from removal. Trump told NBC News Sunday that he had no knowledge of the Justice Department's actions. He added that Powell is, quote, certainly not very good at the Fed and, quote, not very good at building buildings. A Justice Department spokesperson declined to comment on the case, but added that, quote, the Attorney General has instructed her U.S. attorneys to prioritize investigating any abuse of taxpayer dollars. In a statement on X, Republican Senator Tom Tillis, a member of the Senate Banking Committee, said the threatened indictment puts the Department of Justice's independence and credibility in question. Tillis said he would oppose any Trump nominees to the Fed, including the president's coming choice of a new chair, until this legal matter is fully resolved.
This is scary, you guys. This is
Yeah.
This is just as scary as NATO, as them trying to go in and take over Greenland. This will destroy. This will destroy so much.
It'll destroy our economy.
It will destroy our economy.
Destroy the dollar.
Yeah.
And if you don't
absolutely.
think that's the case, look at authoritarian countries.
Absolutely. That's why. Go ahead, Linda.
No, that's okay.
No, that's why we're bringing all this up. This connect the dots, everybody. Connect the dots, please. Everything that's happening.
And expand your information. Don't just listen to your podcasts that are agreeing with everything that you want to believe. Expand, start to really peel the onion and research the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think you said it, 1912, 1913. This is something that should be so completely off limits, and is supposed to be. The president is not supposed to run the Fed. It should have no influence over it. That's why it is an independent agency for a reason.
Well, and Powell has the receipts. He's going to be fine. This is an intimidation to the rest of them that are still on the board not to mess with him and to do what he says, or we'll come after you.
Yeah. Andrea? Yep. Yep. It would be both, wouldn't it? 100% follow the money. Follow the money. Policing state, digital ID. Yeah, this is where this is all headed. So before I know we're going over, but the reason, the other thing about authoritarianism is the cultural capture and the narrative control. And we've already seen that with the Kennedy Center, the Smithsonian Institution, the gutting of a lot of our agencies. Again, another Orbán style playbook.
What about on January 6th, rebranding what happened there that day?
Oh my God.
Day of love. These people, they were, oh, I feel so bad for them. What happened to standing up for the police? What about the Capitol Police?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, a little bit of hypocrisy or a lot of hypocrisy. It's just, yeah, we are sick of it. You're right, August.
They hate things till he loves it, and then they just get right in line.
Yeah, you're right. We are already a surveillance state, and with Peter Thiel and, oh God, it was in my head and then I lost it completely. That surveillance system that he has. I know.
I know who you're
Palantir. Yeah, Palantir. Which brings me to this lovely Big Brother is watching you. Yes. Palantir is only going to make it worse. Anybody know where this is from? Because the next thing I wanted to talk about, which ties us back to our theme, is that they warned us. We were warned. History warned us. Other countries who've gone through this have warned us. Current countries under dictatorship have been warning us. Clinton, Hillary, Kamala Harris, they tried to warn us about this particular person who's now in the White House. But our movies have also warned us. Our books, our narratives, the stories. People have been trying to warn us for a very long time. So if you know the Orwellian fiction, supposed to be fiction, 1984, you know that a lot of what's happening to us right now is in that book. Anybody out there Star Wars fan? You just go back and watch the Star Wars movies. This is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. When Palpatine takes over. And he was supported. The Senate must vote the Chancellor emergency powers. This is how it starts. And this is what we all believe that ICE is being put in the streets for. So this is the next step that we have to be watching for.
So stay peaceful. Get out there, but stay peaceful.
But also the story's continuing. Well, this is actually part of the Star Wars saga, but this is Andor. And this was I had not watched it before, and I started watching it. It's really about the rise of the rebellion and how the empire starts to take over planets and resources. And, it definitely applies to everything we see in any dictatorship, but it's blown up to galaxy size. Right. And you see the rebellion, how it starts. Really fascinating. If you have not watched it, watch it. But they tried to warn us. We've been warned, but we just, I don't know. Who said it? We're sleepwalking. We're sleepwalking to dictatorship. Who said that? I know y'all out in the chat. Remember that. Who said that? We're sleepwalking into a dictatorship. Key themes of 1984 is totalitarianism, psychological manipulation, reality control, the individual versus collective identity, language and thought control, resistance and rebellion. What does that all sound like? So, are we there yet? Are we in a dictatorship, you guys? We never thought it would happen here. We never thought it would happen here.
Well, I personally, and everything I'm reading and everything I'm seeing is it's going to get worse before it gets better.
It is.
This administration's afraid. They're afraid because people aren't getting in line and they're continuing to get into the streets and they're continuing to fight this. And that's what's going to do. We can't rely on Congress. We can't rely on SCOTUS. So it's up to the people. But stay peaceful. Get out there and fight for our democracy.
In any way we can.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to play this last. I won't play the whole thing because it's like 8 minutes long, but there is some good things happening. Whether it'll do any good, I don't know, but it's not getting a lot of media play.
Kim, I wrote all of these things down to talk about today because I saw this last night. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is
Just
great.
The blitz of headlines on what has been a gigantic news day following a gigantic week. You might not have noticed the news today. You might not have seen the headline today that today a federal court blocked the Trump administration from cutting energy funding just for blue states. This is billions of dollars Congress appropriated for clean energy projects of various kinds all over the country. Trump administration decided, and they admitted this, they decided that just in blue states, just in states that didn't vote for Trump, they would cut all of that funding. They'd leave the funding in place in states that voted for Trump. They would cut it in states that didn't vote for Trump. A federal court today ruled that that is illegal and stopped the Trump administration from doing that. That ruling today came after another federal court today stopped Trump from shutting down a big offshore wind farm in Rhode Island and Connecticut. Trump's shutdown of that project, according to the courts today, was also illegal. And so yet another federal court blocked Trump on that as well, so that work on the wind farm will be able to go ahead. Both of those rulings today follow last night, yet another federal court blocking Trump, this time from cutting funding to the American Academy of Pediatrics. This is a doctors group, a pediatricians group that criticized the flock of ducks level insane quackery at Trump's Department of Health and Human Services under RFK Jr. Trump responded by canceling federal grants for the American Academy of Pediatrics. A judge has now ruled that that was illegal retaliation. And so Trump is blocked from doing that. That funding has to be reinstated. That ruling comes after another federal judge just blocked Trump from cutting off federal election funds to states in retaliation for them not changing their election rules in ways that Trump wants. The judge said, quote, "The Constitution assigns no authority to the president over federal election administration." And so Trump got blocked on that one too. Shall I keep going? I could keep going. Another federal court just blocked Trump from freezing billions of dollars for childcare and social services for kids. Again, in Democratic-run states as some kind of punishment against those states for electing Democrats, punishing them for that by cutting off the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families program. Because, what would Jesus do? Trump was also just blocked from doing that by yet another federal court. It's almost like he is losing all the time and everywhere now. There may still be people in America who are shocked that Trump keeps breaking the law over and over again, blatantly and insistently. The courts no longer appear to be shocked by that. And the courts now are just telling him no, very bluntly, every single day and often multiple times a day. And it's not even just the courts. As I know you are aware, last week in one 48-hour stretch, we had a Senate vote for a war powers resolution to block Trump from any further military adventurism in Venezuela. 5 Republican senators crossed over to side with Democrats to pass that war powers resolution. It was enough to advance that. It's going to get another vote in the Senate this week. That came right on the heels of 17 Republicans in the House breaking ranks with Trump and siding with Democrats on the Affordable Care Act to try to at least temporarily undo the disastrous decision Trump and Republicans made in their so-called Big Beautiful Bill, the decision to send tens of thousands of American families' health insurance rates through the roof. 17 Republicans crossed over, defied Trump, and joined with Democrats to pass that healthcare matter in the House. Now it's going to come to the Senate. Trump is now whining about how he might have to veto it if and when it passes in the Senate as well, because he definitely wants to make sure that people's health insurance premiums double or triple in cost for nothing other than something that he personally did. He apparently wants that. I mean, what we've just seen in Congress is one of the worst rebukes Trump has had from congressional Republicans since he has been back in office this whole disastrous year.
I'm going to stop there because we are way over, but I would
But he has the concept of a healthcare plan.
If he vetoes that.
Oh, I know.
Just, oh my God. So, you guys, thank you everyone who joined us today. I'm sorry we went over, but these are such an important, this is an important topic because again, if we connect all the dots, we are in, I can say that we have at least a foot and a half in to dictatorship. And so we have to be vigilant and we have to, this is the time. And I've been hearing experts right now say, guys, this is it. This is the time. You have to stand up now. We have to make our voices louder now. So, just to close, the question isn't whether America has crossed some imaginary line. I mean, we've been heading in that direction for a while. It's whether we kind of still recognize the warning signs. Is this becoming normal? Or whether we're just now being desensitized to this being normal. And so to take away from this broadcast today, think about, which of these warning signs really concerns you the most? And when I started, I said, what would have shocked you 5 or 10 years ago that's happening now? And I think for me, what has shocked me the most is Congress not honoring their oath of office. That did not occur to me. And I've said this before, I was so naive to think our democracy was stronger than it is. And I never thought these people would not have a backbone to stand up to someone like this. That's the biggest shock.
What shocks me, Kim?
Yeah.
That people still are supporting him, because it's the people. The Congress is supposed to work for us. They're not. They've reneged on their duties. But I'm just shocked by how many people, after everything, read Jack Smith's testimony. I know it's 250 pages. Don't read the whole thing. Peruse it. It's damning.
Yes. Just
inform yourself, and Epstein. He's afraid, and he's doing stuff to take away any kind of focus on it. There's damning things in there too. That's what you guys voted for, was him to release the Epstein files. Epstein, read the Jack. Those are my 2 things for Kim.
Yeah. Absolutely, August. Thank you for everyone in the chat for speaking up. Thank you for joining us. And you're right, Republicans stood up finally. So we have to shout that out. Finally, better late than never, but holy cow. And yes, say her name, Renee Nicole Good.
An American woman shot and murdered. Epstein.
It could have been any one of us. And that's what's scary. And I'm sorry, Andrea, I don't have a joke, but I did want to end on a high note, and that was Matt out. So to me, that's some good news, because we need good news, and that is good news. I think sometimes I think we have become cynical about the courts now, or not the courts so much, but will those rulings be upheld? I think is our big question. Will they comply with those rulings? Is the question. But anyway, we are way over now. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. We so appreciate you. All of our regulars and our new people who joined us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're trying to build the channel. Please join us tomorrow for We the People, where we have our full panel. And then on Friday for Voices from the Edge, we have our round table. So that one's a lot of fun too. Thank you. We have to keep our heads up. We have to keep hope alive and just keep fighting. Right? Any last words, Linda, before we head out?
No. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Epstein. Release files. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
We the people unite.